Good morning, New York Mets Nation. Welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. Yes, it is hump day. We are halfway home to the weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But you didn't have that on your bingo card today, huh? The Bat Fry singing. Nobody did. Before we get this shindig kicked off, I just want to let you know today's episode of The Bat Cave is brought to you by our good friend Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has count them, three office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and the Garden State of New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And he has two offices located in the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, one on the east side and one on the west side. The one on the east side is located in Philadelphia on 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. And he has one on the west side of Pennsylvania, west side, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. Be sure to let him know that you're a part of the Out of the Box Sports family, and he'll hook you up with a great deal. So give him a call. Give him a buzz. Why don't you, right? All right, we got a comment here to kick off the show. Our boy, your boy, everybody's boy, Paul Spencer. What's up, Paul? He says, singing, yes, singing. It's hump day, Paul. It's hump day. Only on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Here, you never know what you get. Absolutely, 100%. One day I'm talking about, the movie Labyrinth. The next day I'm singing. I'm talking about David Bowie's Spandex. And here I am singing. Who knows? Who knows? If you know, you know. If you don't, check out a couple episodes ago. Then you'll find out. I don't know if it was on the Batcave or if it was Silver and Black there, but got into an in-depth conversation on how uncomfortable it makes me feel watching Labyrinth and David Bowie's Spandex. I love that movie. It's a great movie since my childhood. But if they ever do a reboot or a part 2, obviously David Bowie will not be in it because he has passed on to another life. But anyway, hopefully they go with us. It's a baggier pants or something. Not as much something, not something as form fitting. That would be very much appreciated. At least for me, anyway. I don't know. Depends on who they have doing it, I guess. The way things go nowadays, they'd probably cast a lady as the Goblin King, Goblin Queen. And then if she wore spandex like Bowie, we'd see Moose Knuckle. So, or Camel Toe. For Bowie, it was Moose Knuckle. For lady, it'd be Camel Toe. And, or some sort of other animal. I don't know. Some sort of forest critter. Or desert horse. Yeah, that's what a camel is, a desert horse. How about that? I like that. I'm going to use that more often. All right, coming up on this episode of the Bat Cave, I'll be talking a little bit about Francisco Lindor, a little bit of Brandon Nimmo, should we be worried, Max Kranick, Paul Blackburn. Jesus, names are escaping me already. And Griffin Canning. Which one would we want which one would I want in the rotation if I had to choose one? Juan Soto having fun. Jose Siri off to a hot start in spring training. And Brandon Sproat. Could we see Brandon Sproat called up sometime this season? And also, the Mets made their first round of cuts. I'll let you know who was sent down to the minors. And also, MLB Pipeline released their top 30 prospects for each team. So we'll take a look at the Mets' top 30 prospects according to MLB Pipeline. So we'll kick this shindig off with Brandon Nimmo. We got a Another comment here, Paul saying, "So who would you have play David Bowie in part two?" Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. It needs to be somebody charismatic, right? Yeah, charismatic with a great voice. I just don't know if there's anybody that could carry David Bowie's spandex. Just he's so awesome in that role, iconic. I just don't know if there's a rock singer that could match him right now. I don't know. That's going to take some thinking. That'd be a good debate topic. If there was a debate show here at Out of the Box Sports, Paul, that'd be a good debate topic. Who could be the Goblin King if there were to be a Labyrinth 2 or a reboot, which we don't want to see a reboot. So a part two, a continuation. The Goblin King returns or something. I don't know. Yeah, I just can't think of they'd probably make Post Malone or somebody like that. Yeah, nothing against Post Malone. No, I have nothing against Post. I don't know his music. I did see him front Nirvana just a few weeks ago on SNL's 50th anniversary show. That was pretty cool. He sounded all right. So, but I don't know who they would get. Luke Bryan. I know that would make my wife happy and all that stuff. He's a little bit of a thicker fellow though, so I couldn't see him in spandex. Yeah, the Goblin King would have to wear blue jeans and flannel. So anyway, Brandon Nimmo, back to the Mets. Brandon Nimmo, uh, should we be worried about his knee soreness? He's only played one game so far this spring. That was last Friday. He hasn't played since then. Um, and he's hoping. I thought I read he said he's hoping to maybe play Thursday. Today being an off day. And then Mets are back at it Thursday. He's still doing work in the field and stuff. Carlos Mendoza said he's not too concerned about it, but it's just lower body. Feet last year. Now it's a knee. Is it connected somehow? I'm not sure if it is. I know they say a lot of times when you're injured, you tend to favor other parts of your body to kind of compensate for that injury. When you limp, you're limping, because you don't want to put weight on a hurt leg. Well, now that other leg that you're putting all that weight on, that weakens and eventually that leads to injury or leads to weakness or leads to some other minor issues, which could then eventually lead to major issues. So I wonder if his foot issues from last year kind of coincides with his knee injury right now, and I don't know, even what knee it is. What I read, it said knee soreness, and I don't remember what foot it was that hurt him last year. If it was both feet, it could have been both feet. I don't know, but it just makes you wonder if it's all coinciding. Then what happens? The knee hurts, so you're limping. The other leg starts getting sore. Then your back is sore. It's one thing leads to another. Is what I'm getting to. I'm a little bit concerned. Like if I had a concernometer right next to my head, like some sort of low budget concernometer, it wouldn't be very high. Like maybe like a 0 to 10. My concernometer would be like 3. 0 being not concerned and 10 being holy shit, I'm concerned. Um, yeah, I'm probably at a 3 on the Out of the Box Sports concernometer. I should figure something out. Get some sort of cheesy graphic on here for like a concernometer or even just draw one myself and hold up a piece of paper, which would look stupid, but it is what it is. Uh, so yeah, so I think there's some concern, especially playing outfield. There's a lot of running, a lot of abuse, running into walls. A lot of ground to cover. Granted, he's not playing center field anymore right now, but still, there's still a lot of ground to cover out there in left field. Forward, backward, left, right. There's a whole lot of grass out there. So maybe there's a chance we see a little bit more Brandon Nimmo at DH this year than what we may have thought. I think a lot of Mets fans, including myself, were thinking that we would see Brandon Nimmo play an amount of D at DH. It's some at bats, but we may see him there a lot more than what we expected. Maybe seeing Jesse Winker uh, Starling Marte in the outfield a lot more than we expect or want, to be honest with you. So, but we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. See if he gets into tomorrow's game, Thursday's game, or if he sits out the rest of the week and maybe returns next week, or they play ultra careful and kind of just let him sit and just have him practice and stuff like that until the start of the regular season. I don't know. I don't know how much of a warm up Brandon Nimmo needs to be regular season ready by game one. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. So moving on from that, uh, talk a little bit of Francisco Lindor here. Hopefully sooner or later they name this man captain. He deserves it. He is the heart and the soul of the Mets, of this team, and he deserves it. I know there's been some talk recently, and there hasn't been any plans as of right now to name him captain. Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe they're just like throwing shade at him, like, "Nah, we're not going to name you captain. We don't do stuff like that. We're not into that." You know, and then all of a sudden, he comes in one day, you know, after hitting some BP or whatever, comes into the clubhouse and like, "Oh, hey, surprise, you're captain. Hey." Maybe they're going to do something like that, like a Dairy Queen cake or something. I don't know. That'd be nice. But but I think he deserves it. But anyway, the reason I want to talk about Lindor is so far this spring he hasn't been hitting. He hasn't been hitting very well. Two of 15. It's a small sample size. It's extremely small sample size. And you're facing pitchers that you never seen before. Minor leaguers. Just it's a whole different thing. It's hard to take any of it. Any of this you take with a grain of salt in the minors, or I mean in spring training. It's just you take it with, especially with your veteran players, you take it with a grain of salt, and it is what it is, and you just move on with it. But in 2023 and 2024, historically, the last couple seasons with the Mets, it's been a slow start for him. It's been a rough start. Looking at 2023 in April, he started off hitting 221. In May, 227. June, 230. Then he starts heating up from there. July, August, September. July he hit 276. August 306. September 277. And looking at 2024, April of last year really struggled, hitting 210. There was points, or a large portion of April where he was in the 100s. I hit .083 in March. It was only a couple games in March, but still, that's a rough start. May hitting 263, so that's a little bit better. June 290, July a little bit of a dip, 274, but still really good. August 325, September 311. When you really need him to be big, dude was big. But over those two seasons, from June on, he didn't have an OPS dip below 800. 2023 his OPS from June on didn't dip below 810, and in last season 2024 his OPS from June on didn't fall below 871. So from June on the dude was money basically. 2023 the average was low at 230, but last year 290 in June he hit. I mean, in 2023 it was a little bit of a struggle for everybody. So it's kind of hard to throw too much shade at it, but you see a pattern there. And I could go back further, but I was running out of note space here, so I cut it down to 2 years, the past 2 years. But I could have did every year since he joined the Mets, and you kind of take a look at that. But so if he does get off to a slow start, give him some time. Give the man some time. Let's not do what we did last season. Not we. I didn't do it. A lot of Mets fans, just all up in the dude's ass, and in his family's ass. It was really it was shitty. It was really shitty last season. A lot of fans just ripping him apart, for the way he hit in April and May. It's like you want him, guys, your big money guys, your main players to come off, start the season off hot and carry it on through there. But if April and May don't go well, give it some time. Give it some time. So cut him some slack is what I'm getting at. If he does start off slow, hopefully, if he starts off hot, he continues hot all the way through the season. Then we could be looking at potential of MVP Lindor. Finishing second last year. Had a legit shot. It's going to be even harder now this year with Soto now in the National League. With Otani as well, and you know Mookie, and a whole host of other guys. So it's going to be even tougher. But if he starts off the way he hits from June on, if he starts off April, May, that way, we could very well be looking at Lindor MVP as long as he stays healthy. I mean, knock on wood there. As long as he stays healthy. Uh, so that brings me to my next topic. As the spring training is starting to kind of drag and starting to wind down a little bit. You've seen I mentioned earlier that a little bit later on I'll be talking about the Mets making their first round of roster cuts. That means you have a little bit more of the guys that are possible uh, guys that make the roster playing a little bit more often. And so now we look at our much injured starting rotation, and we have some spots open. With not really sure who's gonna take what, who's gonna grab what. Are we going a 5-man rotation? Are we going 6-man rotation? Not really sure. So you have Senga, you have uh, Clay Holmes, who's looked fantastic so far, David Peterson, and so far those are the top three that aren't injured. So who's after that? You have McGill, Blackburn, Canning, Kranick. There's also a possibility of maybe a Jose Buto. Guys like that. So you have 3 spots. You have 4 guys. Minus Jose Buto. So where are we going with this? So I decided I think that it's more likely, in my opinion, that Tyler McGill starts in the starting rotation this year. He starts the season off there, and I wouldn't be surprised with with Sean Manaea. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a ultra long IL stint. Where he may be back middle of April. Uh, I wouldn't expect McGill to stay in the starting rotation too long after that, depending on how the other guys are performing. But I expect McGill. I'm me personally. I'm looking at Senga, Clay Holmes, David Peterson, Tyler McGill. So there's 4. So if you're going 5-man rotation, there's 1 more spot. If you're going 6, there's 2 spots, and then that's down to Blackburn, Canning, and Kranick. So far this season, this spring training, none of these guys have got a whole lot of work. The guy that's gotten the most work has been Max Kranick, and he spent a lot of the season last year injured, and so maybe he needs the most work. I don't know, but so far the spring training, Paul Blackburn 2 games. He got into 2 games, so he only pitched 2 1/3 innings pitched. Gave up 3 earned runs. I think that's his last outing. 2 walks and a strikeout. Griffin Canning 1 game so far in an inning 2/3, no earned runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. And then Max Kranick with the most work, like I said, 3 games, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. So for me, just watching. Again, I don't get to watch these games because when these games are on, most of these games during the afternoon, I'm sleeping. I'm out. I'm not getting up to watch spring training games. Regular season games, depending on who they're playing, I might get up a little bit early to check it out. But spring training games, definitely not. It's just not going to happen. But from watching clips and listening to reports and stuff, for me personally, I'm going Max Kranick. If you're going a 5-man rotation, Max Kranick is your 5, or maybe even your 4. He's looked outstanding so far this season, this spring training. So that's the guy I'm going with. Throwing hard, uh, mid 90s, high 90s, around like 95, 96, and really great control so far this spring training. So I like Max Kranick, I really do. I think he should get a shot at it. But there's also a lot of talk of him going to the bullpen as long relief, kind of like a Jose Budo. So where are we going with that? If he's going to be if he's going to go to the bullpen as a kind of innings eater, long relief, it, then he doesn't really have much of a chance at starting, at being in the rotation, unless you do one of those bullpen games where he comes in for like 3 or 4 innings, 3 innings, depending on how many pitches, and then you go bullpen the rest of the way. You might see a little bit more than that. More of him in more of a role like that. So then it's down to Paul Blackburn and Griffin Canning. And I don't know. I don't like either one. Be honest with you. If I had to pick one, I'd take Blackburn just because his track record's better. But I still I don't feel good about it. I feel much more comfortable with Kranik. I feel much more comfortable for our guys that we actually brought in for the rotation. Manaya, Montas. If those guys were actually in the rotation, I'd feel a lot better about that. But here we are. Our boy Jonathan checking in. What's up, Jonathan? Hump day. Yes, it is. Absolutely. You know what time it is. He also says, I made my season win and loss projections, and the Mets have a soft April schedule, but July is a killer. And that's, the Mets last season, again, I have to go back and look to see what the schedule looked like, but they did have some tough series throughout June, July. Yeah, maybe not so much June. I think in July. I think July was tougher than June. But anyway, the best record from May 30th on. So you want to be playing your best baseball in July, and if that's when your toughest schedule is, then bring it on. And I'll be getting to my predictions here in a couple of weeks. Probably the week before uh, the season starts. I'll probably do it then, and give my predictions of what the Mets will finish. And then I also like doing each division. I'll probably go through that real quick. And I know last year I think I went like each week I'd do a different division. I'm not doing that this year because it was just it was a long drawn out process, and I just didn't see much benefit out of it. I could do that in one show. So, but and that's it. The importance of getting off to a great start. For when you do have a little bit of a rough schedule, certain patches of the season, get off to a great start. When you do have a soft schedule, you can kind of overcome 3, 4, 5 game losing streak because you had a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game winning streak earlier in the season. So it all kind of evens out a little bit, and maybe even coming out on top. All right. So moving on from the Kranick Canning Blackburn talk. Uh, again, my thoughts are Kranick. Let me know your thoughts if you think Kranick should make the starting rotation. And we still have a couple weeks to go yet. Not a whole lot, but I think like 2.5. I think maybe something like that to go before our first series against Houston in Houston. Cowboy Dave checking in. What's going on, brother? You can check Dave and Paul out tonight. Uh, Cowboys Weekly, 9:30 p.m. I'll talk about the schedule a little bit later on, so stay tuned for that. A nice schedule put together here by Paul, and I'll let you know what the rest of the week's shows are. All right, so moving on from the pitching talk to Juan Soto. Not a whole lot to say. He's gotten in a few games, not a whole lot of at bats, not a whole lot of work. It looks good so far. No walks, which is surprising. At least that's what his stat lines are saying. A couple homers, and doing Juan Soto things. And I know they're making a big deal out of it yesterday. I don't know if they're making a big deal or not, but I seen a lot of it on whether it's Facebook or X on social media with Juan Soto having fun. And I think it was like kind of sending shade towards the Yankees. And I get it. Yankees and Mets hate each other. I don't hate the Yankees. I have nothing against the Yankees. That's just I really enjoy the Yankees history. I really do. And I just think it's neat. I always wanted to go to Yankee Stadium, and unfortunately, I never made it to the house that Ruth built. But I'd still like to get to the newer Yankee Stadium and see Monument Park and stuff like that. Maybe this year or next year, or maybe I'll wait for my 50th birthday, which that's quite a few. Well, it's 5 years away. This year I turned 45 in May. Dear Lord, oh my God, just thinking about it makes me creaking, joints popping, and arthritis setting in my hip or something. I don't know. Whatever happens to older people. So, but anyway, so I don't know if they're more throwing shade at the Yankees with Juan Soto having fun, showing clips of him and a couple other Mets teammates, just kind of hanging out, and just messing around. Spring training stuff, type stuff. Just having a good time and enjoying their moment together. I guess I don't know, but it was good to see. It was good to see. I didn't know what to expect from Juan Soto. Well, if you're a fan of the show since the Batcave's inception, I've mentioned on here before. I'm not a big fan of Juan Soto. I just I usually go by gut. I just like a vibe or whatever. And I felt like his vibe to me seemed like he could be a dickhead or a douchebag. And I mean, that's just from for me seeing him from afar, not really seeing him weekly or whatever interact with my favorite team and teammates and stuff like that. So so far, what I've seen is he's a chill, laid back kind of guy. He's just an everyday, normal kind of guy, and he's not a douchebag. Maybe I don't know. And I'm not afraid to call guys on my teams douchebags or dickheads. It's because that's who they are. Max Scherzer, when he was on the Mets, I often, very often, said the man's a dickhead, and just seems like a dickhead. Max Scherzer, if you're like, oh, name a major league player that looks like a dickhead or seems like he might be a dickhead if you met him, like, oh, Max Scherzer, easy. He seems like he could be a dickhead. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's just a gut feeling I have. And his interaction on the mounds and his interaction with people in general sometimes seems like he could be a dickhead. So, and then that's kind of how I felt like Juan Soto to a lesser extent, not as harsh as what I think of Max Scherzer. But he was young too when he was up with Washington. Juan Soto, I'm talking about now. So maybe that's my first opinions of him formed then. It's like, this guy seems like a douchebag. But he was just he's a kid. having fun with it. Being up in the big leagues and just killing it. So I don't know. I reserve the right to change my thoughts and opinions on people based on further interactions, not with me, but just what I see anyway. So they always say don't judge a book by its cover. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to read the Max Scherzer book, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a spoiler. It's going to say dickhead inside a lot. So anyway, I bet his parents probably think he's a dickhead. I don't know. I could be wrong. And if you like Max Scherzer, I thought he was a decent pitcher with the Mets, and I was happy when the Mets got him. Thought he was a dickhead before, thought he was a dickhead then, and I still think he's a dickhead. If you like him, nothing against you. It's just all right. So moving on from Juan Soto and dickhead talks and stuff like that. Moving on from that. So I've been going askew a lot today. Askew. I don't know what's going on. Uh, Talking a little bit of Jose Siri. So far this spring, Jose Siri's looked like a pretty good get for the Mets. But again, super small sample size, so you don't really know. 6 games, hitting 250, 3 home runs, 7 RBI, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Uh, it's the power. The power kind of makes you go like, oh wow. So it's a little bit exciting. It's a little bit it's easy to get worked up over. But you kind of look at what he did last season in 130 games. He hit 187, 18 home runs, 47 RBI, 14 stolen base, a little bit of speed there, but a 255 on base. The dude struck out a lot, and 366 slug for a 620 OPS. So, not great numbers, but he plays a solid center field. So that's kind of what you're looking at. That's what you're kind of getting with him. I know, I don't know who was talking on SNY. I was watching a clip earlier when I was prepping for the show. I think it was last night. Was it last night? I think on break. Maybe I was looking. Or was it this morning? I don't know. Excuse me. But just they're talking about Jose Siri and basically he's predicting that he's going to hit over 20 home runs this season, but hit low 200s and from hitting 187 to hitting like 215, 220. That's a hell of a jump. It really is. So you might take that. You get him on the base. Get him on base more often if you can get him to settle down at the plate, take some pitches instead of being a free swinger, a big swinger. Maybe we can get him on base a lot more with walks. Who knows? You would have to think as the lineup flips over from 9-1 if he's going to hit in the 9 hole, which we're all kind of expecting. I think 8, 9, somewhere around there. So if you're thinking that if he's hitting 9, you have Lindor hitting 1, and the and the lineup's going to flip over, that Jose Siri is going to see a lot of strikes. So in those types of situations, so we'll see if he can capitalize on them. But so far this spring, he's been a pleasant surprise. And going into last night's game, the Mets lost last night 6-1 to the Cardinals. He was hitting 300. Yeah, he went 0 for 2 and then knocked him down to 250 again. Super small sample size, so when you get out in a bat, it drops you, 1,000 points. So it is what it is. All right, so moving on from that, just moving right along here to our next topic. Brandon Sproat. We only seen Brandon Sproat once this spring training in live action. I was watching some highlights last night. Jesus. I was watching some highlights last night because when he pitched, I was sleeping, and he looked really good. The high 90s fastball, some really good movement, sinker, working on a sinker and stuff like that. And one of the things I was watching an interview that he did, he's saying that one of the things that he learned from last year, from his success in single A to double A, but then his failure in triple A. So one of the things he learned is he needs to continue to attack, stay on the attack, continue attacking the strike zone, attacking the batter. He said he kind of got away from it in triple A. So last year's stats, he was 7-4, 3.40 ERA in 23 games, 116 and a third innings pitched, 131 Ks to 42 walks, a 1.109 WHIP, 10.1 Ks per nine. But in AAA, now those stats I just read were all three levels that he went through last season. A in Brooklyn, Double A in Binghamton with the Rumble Ponies, and then up to AAA with Syracuse. So just alone with in AAA with Syracuse, he was 1-2 with a 7.53 ERA, just 7 games, but that's just under a third of his starts right there in 7 games. 28 and 2/3 innings pitched, 21 strikeouts, 11 walks. The ratio way off there. 1.640 WHIP and a K per nine down to 6.6. So, so a lot of learning curves there in AAA. But it seems like he got a lot of advice and he kind of pinpointed the issue. He wasn't attacking anymore. He kind of got away from it. And it was hurting him. So now he says he's getting back to it. He's attacking the strike zone, throwing strikes, attacking the batter, working on his sinker. And this, from what I saw from his game pitch the other day, looked pretty damn good. So exciting things to come out of Brandon Sproat. And like Jonathan says here, Sproat, Tidwell, Christian Scott, McLean, Jonah Tong, the baby aces. Yes. I agree. Those are the next set of big arms that are hopefully taking over the Mets rotation within the next few years. We'll have to wait and see what actually happens. It kind of takes you back a little bit to the Harvey, DeGrom, Syndergaard. Syndergaard was a trade from Toronto, but still came up from the minors. I don't remember. I don't know how long Syndergaard was actually in the Mets farm system for, but I don't know I don't think it was too long. But anyway, and Steven Matz. Well, I guess even Zach Wheeler. So I don't know if was Zach Wheeler up with all those guys too, or if he was he up with just Harvey. I don't remember exactly. But those guys there, and so hopefully these guys are the next round of what they were. I know we were hoping for a lot more success with that pitching staff, and unfortunately, it all kind of fell apart after the World Series. And it started at the top with Harvey, and then DeGrom's injuries, and Syndergaard had a couple decent seasons. Then Matt's kind of hit or miss, then being traded away, and Wheeler leaving. Was it free agency or was it a trade? I don't remember, but still, it was just getting dismantled. Dave says, who do the mighty Mets start out with to start the season? Probably, I don't know, maybe a David Peterson. I don't know if they'd start out with Senga or not. With it being on the road, they might save Senga for the home opener. But the first three games are in Houston, so they might save Senga. Maybe we see Peterson or maybe even a Clay Holmes. I don't know. Clay Holmes already pitched against Houston a couple times, but he pitched pretty well. And again, this is all spring training, so he pitched against Houston twice so far this spring training. But those guys that he's pitching against, it's probably 70% of those guys are going to end up in the farm system. So it's hard to take. Like again, you got to take these stats with a grain of salt. So with the Brandon Sproat talk, I feel like we are going to see Brandon Sproat this season. I really do, and it's something CP Chris from CPNY Sports was talking about last night on his podcast with Rob. What the is that? What was it called? Mets Daily. And it pisses me off. I can never remember the goddamn show's name, and I always want to give him a shout out, but I can never remember the show's name. But it was Chris from CPNY Sports and Rob. One of the things they were talking about was Brandon Sproat. And I did comment on there. It was late in the show. I only caught the last 10, 15 minutes of it. But I did mention I feel like we see Brandon Sproat this season if the Mets are on a postseason run. I wouldn't be surprised we see him in September, somewhere around there as a deadline. I think September 1st is your deadline call up or whatever for minor league guys. I could be wrong about that. And I expect him there for the postseason run. I guess I don't want to say postseason run. Leading up to the postseason, for if the Mets are trying to get in, all hands on deck kind of thing. And if Brandon Sproat's having a great season down there in AAA, which I do think he will have a great season and he's healthy. I would not be surprised at all if we see Sproat called up this year. Like I said, it's going to be late in the season. If we see Brandon Sproat in like May, June, July, either one, he's been outstanding in AAA and you have to call him up, or two, we're hurt in a bad way with injuries or just playing awful. So there's a couple of ways to look at it. If we see him, before the halfway point of the season, there's a couple different options where we're playing shitty and it's just going really bad, or it's a lot of injuries. If we see him or the third option would be that he's just been so lights out that you have to call him up. I expect after the second half of the season, even later than that, after August, early September, and that means the Mets are hopefully on a jaunt towards the postseason. So that's my thought on Brandon Sproat, and if we'll see him this year or not. I believe so. So going from there, the Mets make their first round of roster cuts, and not really a surprise. Not a surprise. The guys that were sent down to the minor leagues. But I'll go ahead and read this list off. So you had right-handed pitcher Tyler Adcock, which is a fun name to say. He was sent down. Albert Alzolay. I don't know how to say his name. I ain't gonna try. But he was sent down. Right-handed pitcher. Dom Hamill, right-handed pitcher. He was sent down as well. He got a little bit of work in spring training, pitching live with the Mets. He didn't do bad. Right-hand pitcher Oliver Ortega, right-hand pitcher Brandon Sproat, he was sent down. Blade Tidwell, he also got some innings pitched here in the spring training, and he pitched well. Infielder Ryan Clifford, outfielder Drew Gilbert. Ryan Clifford is first baseman for the Mets. It's kind of one of those deals. Before Pete signed, there was a lot of talk. You don't want to sign Pete to a long-term contract because Ryan Clifford's on his way, and he could be the next Pete Alonso type. Maybe not 59 home runs type, but or 50 plus home runs, like Pete's rookie year, whatever the final amount was. I don't remember exactly what it was, 50 something. But he's the next first baseman, in the minor leagues. And if Pete didn't sign. There was talks of moving Vientos there. There was also talks if Clifford's looking like he can handle it, you'll do bring Clifford up. So I know he did have a home run a few games ago for the Mets. Outfielder Drew Gilbert, there's another big prospect there. Outfielder Rafael Ortega, catcher Kevin Parada. A lot of people were high on him when he was drafted. I heard nothing but great things when he was drafted out of college, but so far it's kind of he floundered. He's been floundering, we'll say. But sometimes it takes time for people to get their footing. So I'm not counting him out yet. You just never know. Outfielder Alex Ramirez. Last year he made the 40-man roster. I guess they did that because of his contract. They didn't want to let him go to. They didn't want to have to waive him, I guess. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but they had put him on the 40-man roster, but they had to keep him on the 40-man roster, and then eventually they ended up waiving him. He didn't get claimed, so he ended up back with the Mets anyway. Infielder Luke Ritter and infielder Jet Williams. So those are the guys that were sent down with the first round of roster cuts. And again, like I said, no surprises. So you still have Brett Beatty up with Luis Angel Acuna still battling out for a roster spot, for a bench spot. Does one, does both? Do they both make it out? We'll see. Ronnie Mauricio, I haven't seen him yet this season. Still recovering from the ACL surgery. So I don't know if he's not on this list because he is on the IL or they still want to see him. I'm not really sure. All right. So going from that, MLB Pipeline released yesterday their top 30 prospects for each ball club. So I'll go ahead and read off the Mets top 30 farm hands according to MLB Pipeline. The Mets' number one overall prospect is Brandon Sproat. He's ranked 46th overall in the majors. Number two is Jet Williams. He's ranked 57th overall. Number three, Carson Benji, I think it is. He's ranked number 100 in the top 100 in MLB. Ryan Clifford is 4. Nolan McLean, number 5. One of those pitchers that our boy Jonathan shouted out here. Jonah Tong, another one. I heard a lot of great. People are super high on Jonah Tong. So next year or two, maybe we start seeing him. He's number 6. Number 7, Luis Angel Acuna. Number 8, Jesus Baez. I know it's Jesus, but Jesus Baez. Number 9, Elian Pena. I think that's the kid that the Mets picked up in the international free agency signing period this year. I think he's like 16 or 17 years old, super young. But a lot of people were really, really high on him. Shortstop. The Mets gave him $5 million to sign, which I think was all of their international money. I could be wrong about that, but I know it was definitely most of it. Number 10, Ronnie Mauricio. Speak of the devil. Hopefully he's recovering, and hopefully we do get to see Ronnie Mauricio this year because he did bring a little bit of excitement in 2023 when he was playing, and then getting hurt in the offseason like that was a bit of a bummer. Number 11, Drew Gilbert. Number 12, Jeremy Rodriguez, shortstop, second baseman. Number 13, Jonathan Santucci, left-handed pitcher. Here's a cool name. I hope I wrote it down right. Number 14, Boston. I don't know if it says Barrow or Baco. See, I didn't write it down very well. I was rushing. Boston Barrow. He's an infielder. Number 15, Marco Vargas, infielder. Number 16th overall prospect for the Mets. They're top 30 according to MLB Pipeline. Blade Tidwell. He's a pitcher there. That's one of the guys that Jonathan mentioned. I got a hangnail there bothering me. I got to bite at it while I'm live talking to people here. Biting at my fingernails like a 13-year-old girl. Number 17, Trey Snyder, shortstop, third baseman. Number 18 overall, Nick Morabito, outfielder. For some reason, I heard that name. I don't know why I heard that name. It's not because of the Mets. I heard that name somewhere else. Maybe it's something close to Nick Morabito, but it was something Morabito. I don't know where I heard that name before, but I know I heard it, and I don't think it was baseball related. Uh, Number 19 overall, Nate Dom, a right-handed pitcher. This one's a tough one. Number 20, Diverson Gutierrez. I think I did all right there. Diverson, Daiverson, Diverson. Maybe it's Daverson. Now that I look at it, maybe it's Daverson Gutierrez. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Number 21, Jacob Reamer, third baseman outfielder. Number 22, Christopher Suero, utility. Number 23, Eli Serrano, outfield. Number 24, Jonathan Pintaro, right-handed pitcher. Number 25, Edward Lantigua. Number 26, Dom Hamill. Number 27, Ronald Hernandez, catcher. Number 28, A.J. Ewing, outfield, second base. Number 29, Jack Weminger, I think it is, right-hand pitcher. And number 30, Colin Houck, shortstop, third baseman. So those are our top 30 prospects, our top 30 farm hands, according to MLB Pipeline. And one little last bit of news here from the Mets. The Mets are expected to waive Sean Reed-Foley. Oft injured, up and down. Last year, ERA in the ones, but again, shoulder. I think it was a shoulder impingement or something impingement. I don't know if it was shoulder or if it was an elbow, but got hurt last year and missed the rest of the season. I think he was in 20 plus games before he got hurt. So, tough break for Sean Reed-Foley. And the Mets, picked him up in the 2021 trade when they traded Steven Matz to Toronto, and just never really worked out. So the Mets are expected to waive Sean Reed-Foley to make room on the 40-man roster. That'll open up a spot there. There's always a chance that he does end up back with the Mets. He has to get claimed off waivers. So he doesn't get claimed off waivers, he can go right back to the Mets AAA affiliate. They're up there in Syracuse, the Syracuse Mets. So we'll see what happens with Sean Reed-Foley. I like Sean Reed-Foley when he's healthy, when he's pitching well. He's very good, but just can't hold a roster spot for somebody that gets hurt a lot. It is what it is. So, all right. So I've got a couple pieces of business here. The rest of this week's schedule. Tonight, Cowboys Weekly at 9:30 with Dave and Paul. Thursday, NFL Weekly Talk. That's at 6 p.m. tomorrow with Dan and Paul. Friday, a new show here Friday, or the return. I should say it's not a new show. It's a return of Inside the Octagon at 7 p.m. with Josh and Paul. Silver and Black Lair, that's me. Raiders at 9 a.m. That's on Friday morning. And then Saturday night, the Atomic Drop podcast, 9 p.m. Myself, Cowboy Dave, the guys from the Part-Time Marks. If they want to hop on, they'll be on. If not, then no pressure. A couple other shows returning soon. The Big Blue Power Hour will be returning before the draft. Commanders Gridiron should be back in the next week or two. And the Golden Dome podcast, Notre Dame football, that'll be returning soon as well. And then coming soon, a couple new shows, Just the Facts, and also the NFL Live Draft Show. We do that pretty much every year. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because you hear like, who, what, oh, damn it, or yeah. So you get a lot of that different stuff. But Inside the Octagon, 7 p.m. on Friday. Josh and Paul, that makes its return. Inside the Octagon 2.0. So if you're a mixed martial arts fan, UFC fan, check it out. It's a fun show. Got a comment here from our boy Jonathan. He says, my projections got the Mets winning 84 games in 2025. Oh, that's a low number. That's where I had them last year. I had them between 82 and 85 wins. And competing for a playoff spot. I wasn't sure. I think I had them out of the playoffs last year, but in the race till the end. So So hopefully, Jonathan, you're wrong. Hopefully, they're closer to 90 wins and in the playoffs. Now, I can legitimately see them without looking at their schedule finishing anywhere from first, second, or third. So I mean, it's like, and with Washington being better this year, everybody's predicting Washington to be better, to be a bit of a nuisance, unlike years past. So you don't know what to expect there, but hopefully it's a little bit more than 84 wins. But again, I'll do my prediction here in a couple weeks before the season starts, and we'll see what I come up with. Hopefully, it's more than 84. I don't know. You got me nervous now. All right. Uh, like I said, Inside the Octagon, Friday, 7 p.m. Be sure to check that out. And myself, Friday, 9 a.m., Silver and Black Lair Raiders. You want to check us out here, Out of the Box Sports. Follow us all of our shows at OOT Box Sports on YouTube and X. Give us a follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel at OOT Box Sports. Much appreciated. That's not the right one. Follow me at the Batcave OOTBS on X. That once again is at the Batcave OOTBS. That's on X, and I follow back just about everybody. So hit me up, and my YouTube channel at the Batcave _OOTBSE. I know it's a weird one, but at the Batcave _OOTBSE. That's my YouTube channel. I'd appreciate if you subscribe to that. And if you want to help me out personally, check out Dubby Energy at www.dubby.gg. Check out all their energy drinks. They also have hydration drinks as well. If you don't want to, drink Gatorade or Powerade or anything like that, check their hydration drinks out. If you need electrolyte boost or what have you, check that out. They have sample packs too. If you're not sure, like, I don't know if I'm really into that, go ahead, try a sample pack. You get I think six or more packs. The one I did was a 6-pack one. It was the hydration, and I got it with the shaker, and I thought it was fantastic. And then I started trying the energy drinks. They come in tubs. Very good. So far, each energy drink that I tried is very good. And I'm going to order my next flavor today. They just released a new one yesterday, so I'm going to order that, called Tiger's Blood. I can't remember the exact flavors that are in it, but it's something strawberry and coconut, and it sounded phenomenal. So I'm like, I got to try this. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. It's a jitterless energy drink made from coffee fruit extract. A lot of natural ingredients in it. Very few artificial flavorings, and so check them out, and use my promo code The Batcave. It's all one word, The Batcave. Just how you see it on the screen here. If you're watching it, if you're listening, The Batcave. Capital T H E, capital B A T, capital C A V E. The Batcave. All one word, no spaces. Leave the spaces out, or it won't work. All right. And be sure you check out Part-Time Marks on Tuesdays, 10:30 p.m. Talking Monday Night Raw and NXT. One last comment before I get out of here. Cowboy Dave, who is a Phillies fan, mind you, says he has the Mets at 95 wins. I like that, Dave. I have a feeling I'm going to fall somewhere in between you and Jonathan. Jonathan said 84. And Dave is saying 95. I'm without actually looking at the schedule, I'm feeling somewhere around, probably high 80s, low 90s, somewhere around there. But we'll see. Maybe I have them winning 200 games. I don't know. All right, excuse me. So that's all I have for today. I appreciate everybody for checking the show out. Every one of you, the comments, Dave, Paul, Jonathan, I appreciate it very, very much. Once again, check me out. My next time I will be on with any kind of podcast will be Friday morning, 9 a.m. The Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders talk. If you're a Raider fan, you're a football fan, check that out. Then also Saturday night, 9 p.m., Atomic Drop podcast. That's a wrestling podcast talking WWE wrestling. I'll be on that as well. So if you're a wrestling fan and you want to talk about John Cena's heel turn or the weird stuff that the what was that rapper's name that was out there? Travis Scott. Well, I thought Travis Scott was the drummer for Blink 182, and I seen him. I'm like, that ain't the drummer for Blink 182, but that's Travis Barker. So not the same person. I found out. One more comment. Jonathan says, thanks for the show. 22 days until opening day. I can't wait. Can't wait to get this show on the road. See what this Mets team is going to bring and get healthy pitching wise. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting. And the anticipation's killing me. All right. I'll also be live again next Tuesday, 9 a.m. Silver and Black Lair LA Kings. For you hockey fans, for you Kings fans, check that out. And of course, next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel with the Bat Cave, 9 a.m. next Wednesday. I'll be live and talking New York Mets baseball. So until then, see you guys then. And of course, as always, let's go Mets.